Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another mildly interesting video. Here's a little pop quiz. What is a movie that made you feel like God exists because what you just watched felt like the work of Satan? And I'll give you a hint, it's no longer Hereditary. I have seen the Minecraft movie and I thought the movies couldn't get worse than this. The Smurfs movie has finally broken past that barrier. This is easily the worst movie I've had the privilege of seeing. I got this ticket at half price and I still feel scammed. And I call this the worst movie I've seen so far because it is the worst kind of movie possible. The one that doesn't make you feel anything except pain. There is no joy, sadness, fear, anger, no nothing. Yeah, well, I already knew that the bad guys wanted to suck out all the joy in the universe, but I didn't expect it to be also in this universe, the real world. See, you don't care about what happens to these characters. The only emotion that you feel is rage because of all the extras that they tag onto this already painfully generic story. I cannot wait to see the 1-hour CinemaSins video for this movie. The gist is that Papa Smurf somehow gets kidnapped by some Roswell guy thanks to a Smurf who somehow gets magic powers right after singing a horrible, generic, and on-the-nose song about how he wishes to be something, and then they bring out a turntable and it somehow lands to Earth, and somehow the Smurfs aren't parrots, and somehow the turtle voiced by DJ Marshmallow got sucked up with them, and somehow I've had enough of this! Let's go through this step by step. First off, the music, because Rihanna is Smurfette and DJ Marshmallow is a turtle. No, you did not just snort a light of cocaine, you heard me correctly. DJ Marshmallow, the musician most famous for keeping his real identity a secret. The paparazzi always find a way, unfortunately, which includes not using his real face or voice in his music, lends his voice to a freaking turtle who makes horrible generic jokes all along and serves zero purpose in the story. What kind of blackmail did they get on Marshmallow? The performances were fine, I guess. I didn't really feel anything from those voice performances, and it was actually pretty hard to focus on them because I was focused on everything else, including the music. Oh my god! This is some of the worst music I have ever listened to. Every musical number feels forced. All the lyrics are so ridiculously on the nose that I feel like even 6-year-olds are too old for this kind of music. And why the hell does it all need to be electronic music? There's even a scene where the Smurfs go to Paris and a Rihanna song is playing in the background. This feels more like an advertisement for Rihanna and Marshmallow, or the producers managed to get some blackmail on the both of them and force them to create new music for a kids film, and so they only focus on doing their job rather than even trying to be subtle. They focus more on trying to get the job done rather than figuring out if the work they made was actually good. Oh, what's that? You're asking about how they ended up in Paris? Well, that's where we talk about the story now. The story already had me covering my head in sheer incompetence as Smurf somehow gets magic powers, which opens a portal to the real world, which seems to be animated, and the tractor beam only gets Papa Smurf and only him. Then somehow, a DJ turntable sends only the name Smurfs into the real world, which is now live action, and of course they go to Paris because what other cities exist? This is something I want to touch on. Sometimes the live action world is live action. It's shot in the real world. Other times it's animated. It's not consistent at all. Moving on from that, then they come across another group of Smurfs who literally disappear from the plot once they have brought out the original Smurfs into the next plot point. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad and predictable. The only thing that keeps you on your toes is the fear of which city they will go to next. But the fact that this takes place in the real world does absolutely nothing to the story except seemingly only to reference modern day things so that the kids and adults can probably go, haha, I recognize that thing, except no one was laughing, not even the kids in the theater. Same with the Smurfs that live in the real world. They do absolutely nothing to the story except for the leader. You would think they join in the final fight, but they don't even show up in the end credits, I think. I left as soon as the credits roll, while the family stayed to see the post-credit scene. It was probably just a scene revealing the villain is still alive after all and will return for the sequel. Please help us. Elements pop in and out without any substance, shape, or form. It all feels meaningless. What is the point of having French ninja Smurfs if all they do is bring the original Smurfs to Ken? You could just simply cut them out and have them stumble across Ken or come across instruction from Papa to lead them to Ken. And what is the point of DJ Marshmallow Turtle if he just gets left behind in Paris only to show up right before the credits roll? Why even bring up Smurfette being a creation of the bad guy so last minute? Where did all the magic books come from? Why are the Smurf villains in the real world and hiring regular people as assistants? Why can't Smurfs use magic? And what specifically about no-name Smurfs makes them a huge anomaly? The Smurfs don't seem to mind too much. And anyways, why should we care about all these elements that pop in and out faster than the audience has time to digest them? That's a good question. The answer is they don't. Anyways, back to the plot points. They are so painfully generic, and it is so easy to see where the story is going to be going next. One scene, the Smurfs mention how they cannot use magic. Next scene, our main Smurf can suddenly do magic. Until at the beginning of the third act, where it's revealed that it was actually through the magic book, and then in reality, he cannot do magic. Which would actually work pretty well as a tragedy of sorts if they kept going down that road. Oh wait, no, now he can do magic all by himself at the final battle, where we genuinely don't care with what happens to anyone involved. They undid a decent plot twist. Actually, no, they ruined that plot twist from the very beginning. Because the writing is so on the nose that they spell out everything that happens or is going to happen, including the theme of self-identity. And actually, on further inspection, the Smurfs could be a decent way into looking at this theme, considering how it's established that every Smurf needs to fit into a certain archetype rather than being able to create their own, such as how our main Smurf is the first one able to do magic. But it's fumbled so badly. The theme is spelled out so loud and clear in the beginning that you can just immediately predict every single character plot beat of it going forward, and it just feels like you're wasting time. The only unpredictable things are about which city the Smurfs will end up in and what the marketable merchandise sold to kids will be. In fact, this movie seems to be made with the sole purpose of monetary gain. First, they got every single celebrity they could think of, including DJ Marshmallow as a freaking turtle and Rihanna as Smurfette. 2. The story is from an existing IP that made money more than 8 years ago, which is then told in the most bland, generic way possible so they could have quote-unquote maximum appeal to kids, I guess. And number 3, all the songs are so on the nose, and they're also electronic, I guess, to help it rise up the charts, which it hopefully never will. And 4, they then added a new race of characters with the sole purpose of being marketable dolls to the kids who walk out of the theaters. I don't think we have to say this again. Smurfs represents the worst that a movie can be. Not only does it fumble nearly every single aspect of storytelling to the point that I don't even think kids could like a movie like this, but it does so in such an incompetent way that there is no enjoyment to be found out of any of it. At least the Minecraft movie was so bad that it looped back to being good and funny. All the Smurfs makes you feel is nothingness besides pain and a looming growing sense of wasted time and money. This was bad, like in the worst way possible. But am I really gonna sit here and say that the live-action Smurf movies that were made almost 10 years ago are much better than this absolute travesty of a movie? Yes! Yes, I am!